Hello, I am blue.exe, and today I am going to be showing you how to orient a mesh from a Niagara system uh, to a spline. So it seems a little bit complicated. I know I had to get some help from the Discord, but right now I'm just wanting to share it so I can remember it more, and if I have to, come back to it. And, spreading knowledge like this on such a what ends up being simple thing is not a bad thing to do. So let's start off by just making a blueprint class. Blueprint class actor, because we need to make a spline, right? So let's just put blueprint, let's say YouTube spline. That makes perfect sense. Let's open that. In fact, before I even open it, I'm just going to go ahead and place it in the level. Now I'm going to open it. So now that we open it, we want to go to the default scene root. And what do we want? We want a spline. After all, I'm sure you already have yours. If not, that's fine. And we don't really want a line spline. We want to orient it, and going straight just isn't that impressive. So right click the center of it, and so right click it, and spline generation panel, really useful. So spline generation panel, bring this up actually because it's about to expand. I've already got a square. I've already got a circle. So you know what, let's just do no, let's do an arc. And insert before. Make sure you do insert before because I'm about to show you why. Insert before. And it's kind of weird right here, right? So there's the center of it. You just hit that, hit delete, and that kind of fixes that. And that's why I did that. Default scene root again, though. We're wanting to add a Niagara particle system component to the default scene root, not to the spline, but the default scene root. From there, right now, we can do nothing because we don't even have a Niagara system set up, but we can go back and go ahead and compile so it can see it. Let's move this over. There we go. So there's our spline. Super simple, but we're not done. Go wherever, though, you need to for saving Niagara stuff. I've got mine here, but since it's just a YouTube thing, I'm going to start here and get a Niagara system. Just get an empty, not a completely empty. But an empty one. And I'm just going to be putting this as Niagara system, YouTube, spline. Easy enough on the naming of it. Alright, so we start off with an empty. Let's first, spawn something. I would say that's pretty important. I'm going to do spawn burst instantaneous. Just one of them. Don't need anything else. I also don't care, neither do you, about the sprite render right now. So let's just get a mesh render. Very simple. Just getting the very, very bare basics up and running. Now after that, also, before I go forward, do not hit local space. It will mess stuff up on this one, so just do not do local space. Now, go to particle update. What we want is a new scratch pad module. This is where a lot of the work gets done. And it can seem intimidating if you don't know anything about it, but that's fine. If you never go back into it, okay. Well, I'm going to show you how to do this one. Trying to space some stuff out. So go to here, map get. This is where you're going to have your inputs. You want to hit the plus button and just do spline. We need information from the spline. Plain and simple. You also want it to move. So you'll want to get an input of time, but you don't want to just bring in like time or something like that. You want to put in a float. So float, which means it can have a decimal point value, and just put in time input. We'll be able to put that input in later. You'll also want a speed, just so if you speed it up, you can. Why not? That's also going to be a float, and I'm just going to name it speed. So simple enough. You have your spline, name spline, time, and speed as a float. All inputs. We'll be dealing with that in the Niagara system in a bit. But first, let's put more. Drag off from the spline. What we need is a position on the spline, and we also need a direction that our mesh can be oriented to. Both of these come from the spline. First one we want is just the position of the spline in world space. So sample spline position by unit distance WS or world space. Grab that. Now the U here is the distance traveled over it. So how do we deal with that? Easy enough. We have time and we have speed as a something to not modulate it. change it. But what we want to do here is drag off of that, go to multiply, and plug that in right there. Not all though. And I keep spacing this out. I keep thinking I have enough space. I don't. What do you want to do from there? Drag it off once again and just put in modulo. Okay, there we go. Once you have that, just go ahead and plug it into the U. That's not the end, of course, because we have nothing down here for B. And just this type Niagara numeric. We really don't want that. So right-click the bottom one, put convert numeric to, and put float. And I'm just going to put a 1. That means this just is going to go from 0 to 1 to 0 to 1 to 0 to 1 over and over and over again, which is what we want for this. Now here, we need to put the spline into map set. Map set is the output. What we want to do is override our particle, or particles rather, position. We want to directly override it here. So we're just going to plug that in right there. Now, like I said, we want position and we want a vector to orient our mesh renderer to. Had a little trouble there, but let's drag off. What we can do is get the tangent. If you don't know anything about tangents, go look them up real quick. Generally, we're talking about circles when we're talking about tangents, but it's a vector that kind of touches once with, I guess, generally, like I said, a circle. But in this case, not necessarily a circle. It can be with any of shape, really. So what we want to do is just put in tangent. And again, we want sample spline tangent by unit distance world space. World space, that's what we want. And we plug this down there to match the distance. So at this distance, here we get a unit distance. At that distance was position on spline, and at that distance was a tangent. Here we have a vector, tangent vector. Well, a vector named tangent rather. And here we want to just get a vector. We can name it spline tan for spline tangent. Why not? Plug it right in there. But we need to right click it, go to change namespace, and go to particles. Put it as particles spline tan. That's very important. Hit apply. And if you want to, here is a little bit of look at how this is before we go on. We go back to system overview right here. And what we want to do is hit this or hit this and then go to user parameters. We want to make a spline user parameter so that we can tell outside of the Niagara system what spline we want to attach to or take the information from. And let's go ahead and go to Scratch module. We'll go ahead and set all the user parameters while we're here. I'm just going to put it as 1. This spline, let's grab the user parameter we just made. That was a spline. And bam, we dealt with it. Now time, you don't want to just enter like a 2. That makes no sense. It's not moving. Time, cool. No, you need a time, but you need a specific time. And that's going to be a looped age, an emitter looped age, so that we just keep getting the same information. It modulates itself back from like 0 to 1, I believe. I guess maybe it's 0 to 5 in this case. I think it's 0 to 1. Either way, you need looped age from the emitter, period. But that's not it. We go here. We need to go to update mesh orientation. Of course, this is all in particle update. Now take the update mesh orientation, move it after the Scratch module because we need information from the Scratch module. And if you know anything, pretty much just gets compiled and executed from the top down. So update mesh orientation, and right now, if you can see this little thing right here, barely, it's just kind of rotating because of rotation rate. First off, what I want is a bigger thing. I forgot what you call these specifically, so I'm just gonna set, this is 5. You know what, I'm gonna put that as a 3. That's good enough. Go back to update mesh renderer because we don't need rotation rate. What we want is orient to vector. Going a little fast, don't worry, pause it. Trying not to go too fast, but not too slow either. Orient to vector. Here, go here, and just put in particles, and you'll see why I said put in particles. particles, spline tan. That's the facing direction. The tangent is the direction you want to face it, as I was saying when we were making the scratch module. It's easy enough to this. Now, if you leave it with facing up, it's going to be weird. So you just want facing. You don't want anything extra to change it. The stabilization mode just needs to be facing. It's going to be facing what? The spline tangent, the vector we're wanting to orient it to. From there, just save it. Go back to your blueprint spline tan, or blueprint YouTube spline blueprint. Go to your niagara system asset, and you're just going to be putting in spline. It should pull up tube. There we go. Oh, already right in our face. But that's not it, because we do need to set the spline that it's going to be on just to make sure. So user parameters right here, and we're just going to be YouTube blueprint YouTube spline pile, and there we go. It is as simple as that. Let's see. I just want to change this. I'm just kind of showing you what can happen. We're going a little fast, obviously, but that is fine. Let me grab something else. Oh Lord, sometimes it's twisted. Now it's going pretty fast right now, so you can barely see, I guess, what's actually happening. But it is twisting it right there. Of course, you can see, as you've seen earlier, this is how these were set up. Pretty simple. Just same with this. This one was an arc. That one was a circle. That was a square. It's pretty simple. And like I said, it seems complicated. It's not really. Yeah. Guess that's it for today. I think I'll be making more videos like this, but I'm not quite sure. Maybe when I need to save something. Maybe. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and maybe I'll see you again.
そしてなんとロックマンにも異変が。驚異の破壊力。ロックマンに一体何が起こったというのか。